Shanti, where are you? Can you please come?
few years back when I am a fresher, I don't even have that exposure or knowledge that there are tech events that's happening. We can go there, attend and gain knowledge. We can network and all these stuffs. At least me, I don't have that knowledge, but glad to see a lot of people are volunteering yourselves, that too in the weekend. So you could have make some leisure activities, but instead of that, I'm happy like you all are interested in your career stuffs. So happy. So like how many freshers are here? Just to see the rhythm of the crowd. Okay, students, any? Oh, so even students are having like lot of exposure and attending the tech events. So glad to see. சரி ஓகே நல்ல ஆஃப்டர்நூன். எனக்குலாம் தூக்கம் வருது, உங்களுக்குலாம் தூக்கம் வரலையா? சச்சோ ரொம்ப ஆர்வமாக இருக்கீங்களே. உங்கள் பேர் சாரி? விஷ்ணு. ஓகே சரி, ஒரு சின்ன ஐஸ் பிரேக்கரோட நம்ம ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணலாமா? ஒரு 5-10 minutesல ஐ திங்க் வில் கெட் தி இனஃப் க்ரௌட் டு கிக் ஸ்டார்ட் தி செஷன். ஸோ வில் ஹாவ் அ ஸ்மால் ஐஸ் பிரேக்கர். ஓகேவா? ஐயோ கேட்கல. இப்போ ஸ்பீக்கர் தாங்க எனக்கு வந்து பேக் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காரு. பண்ணலாமா சின்ன ஐஸ் பிரேக்கர்? பண்ணலாம் மேம். ஓகே சரி. So it's a simple thing. It's a normal tongue twister, all based upon the TypeScript. So anyone can volunteer. Volunteer பண்ணிங்கன்னா எனக்கு ரொம்ப ஹாப்பி. நான் போய் யாரையும் பாயிண்ட் பண்ண மாட்டேன். ஸோ நீங்கள் வந்து tongue twisters will be displayed here. அந்த tongue twister வந்து ஒரு will start with the 4 times. ஒரு 4 times வந்து lag இல்லாமல் continuously for able to say that you'll get a chocolate. Will go? Okay. சரி. Who is going first? Vishnu. Vishnu will be second. Wait. you will be given chance. Second, okay? யாராச்சும் Vishnu overtake பண்றீங்களா? Normal tongue twister. Tongue twister will display here. You can just read that. See. Or 4 times continuous. Lag illam சொன்னீங்கன்னா you're going to get chocolate. If you're not going to do, no issues. Anyone want to try? Anyone name with C? Start with C. Yeah, we'll scrutinize the list. C yarume illaya? Yes. Glad. Oh, your name please? Shweta. Okay, Shweta, you will be shown a tongue twister here. So try to read the tongue twister like 4 times continuously without any delay or any wrong pronunciation. If you do such, you'll get a chocolate. Okay? Can we try? You want to try for a time and just go? Okay. We'll go with this slide. We'll go for 3 times or 4 times? 3, 4. Vishnu is very much enthusiastic. Happy to see. Shweta will go for 4. Good. Okay.
Type safe test is test tricky type tuples. Sorry.
Okay. So we'll not take this into account. We'll take this as trials. Okay. For Shweta alone, since she is trying it for first time. Okay.
Type safe test is test tricky type tuples twice. Type safe test is test tricky type tuples twice. Type safe test is tech tricky type tuples.
Okay. Yeah, but applause to Shweta for trying it. Can we give an applause to her? Yeah. So Vishnu want to try? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you want to try this? Vishnu, you want to try this? So we will not give you. Go for the next slide.
Strictly structured syntax stops, sloppy script surprises. Strictly
Fast.
Oh, sorry. So strictly structured syntax stops, floppy scripture surprises. Strictly structured syntax stops, floppy script surprises. Strictly structured syntax stops, sloppy script surprises.
Okay. So we need to fast play or think into 1.5x, I guess, but still you did it. Nice.
Yeah, I'm not a rapper, man.
Thank you, Vishnu. Anyone else need to try? Yeah, great. Your name, please? Senthil. Okay, you'll go for next. Your name, please?
Amir.
Amir. Okay. We'll go for the next one.
Types turn typical typing into top tier type tricks. Types turn typical typing into top tier type tricks. Types turn typical typing into top tier type tricks.
Okay. So I think we need to go for the 4 times. So yeah, but it's a good job, Amir.
Thank you.
Your name, please?
Shevak.
Shiva, okay.
Shevak.
Sorry?
My name is Shevak.
Shevak. Okay, nice name. So when I asked for S, you didn't raise your hand, right?
Suddenly she raised hand, so
Okay. Okay, Shweta saved you. We'll go for this slide. Oh, this one. Okay, we'll go. 4 times.
this one.
Yeah.
TypeScript types, tiny types, templates to title JavaScript.
Fast, Shevak.
TypeScript types, tiny types, templates to title JavaScript. TypeScript types, tiny types, templates to title JavaScript.
Okay, good try. Hi, Roja. Okay, we have like couple of more tongue twisters with us. Anyone want to give the try? Oh,
Here you go.
your name, please?
Praveen.
Praveen. Okay. Okay.
Generics generate generally good generic code. Generics
Fast,
generate
fast, fast.
generally good generic code. Generics generate generally good generic code. Generics generate generally good generic code.
You completed 4 times.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty easy, right?
That's it.
Nothing intentional. It's all in the random sequence. So Praveen is lucky to get an easy tongue twister, I guess. Okay.
Who else is ready?
Last 2 tongue twisters.
Anyone from this side?
Okay. I think the next you 3, one of you 3 will try, I guess. Okay, we'll go. Your name, please?
Dinesh, ma'am.
Dinesh.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yeah.
Typed functions favor faster, flawless front-end fixes. Typed functions favor faster, flawless front-end fixes. Typed functions favor faster, flawless front-end fixes. Typed functions favor faster, flawless front-end fixes.
Yeah. Nice try, Dinesh. Who is going to try here? You? Yeah. We'll try now. Your name, please?
Kavya.
Kavya, okay.
Interfaces ensure end-to-end implementation integrity. Interfaces
Fast,
ensure
fast.
end-to-end implementation integrity. Interfaces ensure end-to-end implementation integrity. Interfaces ensure end-to-end implementation integrity.
Okay. Nice try, Kavya. Okay, crowd will wind up with this. Fine? Yeah, we'll wind up with this, John. So enjoy the icebreaker. Okay, any idea why we are doing this icebreaker? You are not attendee, you are speaker. And we are, is this your first event as speaker? Yeah, we are very much proud to have Selva, the active attender, as a speaker here. So he's the one who asked a lot of questions. And I think, hello. So he's the one who asked a lot of questions, like Vishnu, So you can pose all your questions to Selva in his session. Okay, so back to the topic. Any idea why we are conducting this icebreaker? Speaker பேசுறீங்களேப்பா. சாக்லேட் கொடுக்குறோமா? சும்மாவே நான் சாக்லேட் கேட்டா கொடுப்பேன் நீங்க. Okay. One valid point. Everyone on this time will definitely feel sleepy. நீங்க தூக்கம் வரல அப்படினு சொன்னீங்கன்னா விஷ்ணு தூக்கம் வரல தானே? விஷ்ணு மாதிரி போய் சொன்னீங்க அப்படின்னா no, I will not accept it. Everyone will feel sleepy. So to make the crowd interactive, we are doing icebreaker. The second thing was like I could see lot of freshers and the first time attenders in this crowd. So I just want to break that ice, and it's not you have conversation only with the friends that you come with. Try to have a conversation with all the people so that you have some expectations, right? Adu vandu only with the session you cannot achieve. The more you interact with other people, the more you learn. So for that reason, we started with the icebreaker. So yeah, this slide, you know, anyone having idea about TypeConnect? Okay. So very few know about TypeConnect. You know, right? TypeCoders is an own community from our Talentship family. So this is our second community that we're kicking off from Talentship. Our first community was the TypeConnect. So the main intention of TypeConnect is like to bring lot of stuffs regarding AI. Not only to know how to use AI, more about how to develop AI. So that is the main gist of TypeConnect. So since it is more successful and we got lot of inputs in the TypeConnect event, we thought we could kickstart another community for the TypeScript stuff. So with that intention, we have started the TypeCoders community. Making JavaScript jealous. Sorry, enakku adukku sambandham illa. Okay. So it's just a small gist about the TypeConnect I give, but I request Shanti to share more insights about what is the core concept of the TypeCoders and what are the future plans that the TypeCoders community has. Please, Shanti.
Hi everyone, myself Shanti, technical leader Talentship, and the big question here is why TypedCoders, right? And definitely not to make JavaScript jealous. Of course, you guys know without JavaScript, TypeScript can't stand itself. So of course not. That was a catchy text we got, so we just placed it in the t-shirt. So no one, please don't get offended. And yeah, so well, let's take a look around. We have like a versatile set of mixture of engineers here: front-end, back-end, full stack, AI, DevOps, and I know few QAs are also here. That right away answers the question. We want a platform where every engineer from like any domain can come together, share what they know, and learn from each other and grow together. And the spark actually came from our very own CTO, Mr. Mahadevan. He's not present right now, but with his guidance, we were like asked to start an initiative, because he saw that TypeScript is everywhere, becoming a common language that unites us. And under his guidance, along with the volunteers, we made this event live today. And of course, TypeScript is not a one-day event. It's going to be a movement. Like every quarter, we are planning to conduct one. And from now on, you guys are part of it. And let's make full use of today. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Shanti. So with this, we'll kickstart our first session. So the first session will be given by Manoj. So Manoj is a senior principal officer, a developer at Beam, and he is an active contributor of many communities and a seasoned speaker as well. And I came to know him that he started his career with fixing the motherboards. I guess it's true, and I think we'll get to know more about him. And the stage is yours, Manoj, please.
ஷேர் பண்ணி ரெக்வஸ்ட் கொடுத்துட்டேன். ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணலான்னா சொல்லுங்கள். Okay. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. எண்ணினிய தமிழ் கோடர்களுக்கு வணக்கம். எண்ணினிய So the reason why I started this is, I mean, the way I spoke, it's kind of an analogy. I feel that is TypeScript, right? So you have your right passes, you have all the grammars and everything in place. Instead of just saying something like, "Yen peru Manoj," that would be more of casual thing, right? So I thought, okay, what if I just start with this analogy, like a very perfect Tamil. Enniya coder Tamil, coder நண்பர்களுக்கு வணக்கம். Okay. So my name is Manoj Mohan. I've been okay. I'm here to talk about this, like keeping backend and frontend type checked always in sync, right? A couple of words before you hear. I mean, you start hearing. Okay, the fonts are a little less. Okay. Cool. Huh. So before you continuously hear from me for the next 40 minutes or so, this is a quick intro on who am I. So currently my designation is Senior Principal Engineer. I work for a remote startup, a fintech startups for like 4 or 5 years now. And for last 8+ years I'm working in startups, and 2+ years I was surviving in corporate and it didn't work. That's very early in my career. And I consider myself as a sustainable dev. What it means is not the sustainability as in the green sustainability. Generally, I hear a lot of things about work-life balance, hustling their way without sleeping, without eating, coding always. I'm not a practitioner of that. I do work out 5 days a week. I do eat good. I do sleep well, and I also code. So the reason why I explicitly putting this is, it should not give a perception for the newer graduates and students that you should hustle to be a developer, right? So I thought, okay, everyone is talking the other way, like you should work always and you should not sleep. So I just wanted to say people who are not doing it, who are anti-hustlers, also exist. So that's one point. And this QR leads to my LinkedIn. So you guys can take a photo of it if you want. All right. So coming back to the topic, how many times it has happened to you guys? Say if you are okay, before I begin, I actually took a count from the organizers of this meeting on what's the split between the working professionals and students. Okay, so majority of you guys are working professionals. So that's what from the count I got to know. That's when it comes. How many times it has happened to you guys when you guys are working in your front-end projects using TypeScript? Obviously, the backend has changed the data types. Have you guys came across that scenario ever? Anybody? Yeah, right? Actually, I mean, that's a very common scenario where, I mean, they would do it and they would not actually document, right? So at that time, what happens is this. Yeah. So this is the reaction we would actually get, right? எப்படா மாத்துனீங்க, ஏன்டா, ஏன் எங்களுக்குன்னு ஏன்டா அப்படி வரீங்க? That kind of reaction is what usually we would have, right? Because we would be expecting in a key some string or numbers, and these guys would give a boolean, and then sometimes they would give a stringified boolean where we'll have to pass. Okay, so why these things happen is that generally, like, if let's say we are in a hurry, we would, in the client side, we would do the other parts where we are writing the code for ourselves. We would actually maintain the types, okay, within our team, right? When the response is coming from the backend, we don't know what response would come from the backend. A very a very, very naive solution, kind of level 0 solution would be to have your own types manually. Say, மச்சான் பேக்கெண்ட்ல இருந்து என்ன ரெஸ்பான்ஸ் அனுப்புற, எனக்கு ஒரு சாம்பிள் ரெஸ்பான்ஸ் அனுப்புடா. We would ask for the backend response, and accordingly we would write our own types, right? So once we write our own types, what happens is at the start of the project we would have got it, and later we would have completely there would not be any sync. When they change, they would not update anywhere. For every key, even they can't update, right? So when that happens, our project bound to break, like I showed you earlier, right? One typical solution, kind of a level 1 solution, would be to have GraphQL generators. So this is possible only if you guys use GraphQL. So among these people, who all have used GraphQL? Great, fair number. So in this GraphQL, there is a way where you have your GraphQL schema. I mean, I'll actually, okay, they'll have a GraphQL schema, and the GraphQL schema would be typed in the backend, right? And the GraphQL server would give some introspecs, which is basically the knowledge of what responses or what types the responses is typed in the backend, okay? But this retrospect would be available in the compile stage only in the client-side application. I have a demo lined. If the time permits, I'll show that particular demo for GraphQL generation. Basically, what happens is, when you create your project, there is a process called generation, type generation. When you run that in the client side, what will happen is, this GraphQL, whatever schema and data types they have added in the backend, that will be converted into your client side types, right? So that all the responses, the client would be aware every time the project starts, right? So this is one way, okay? This is a more prominent way. Even in our current code base in our companies, we use this, okay? But what all the challenges is that this is one way, and there are a couple of more ways where the backend would write their resolvers, and then they would have something like Swagger, or they would write open API specification. You can actually so open API specification also is a place where you would define the types in the backend. So when that happens, using those things, they would create documentation from which we would get the types in the client side. So basically, you'll have a manual step in the client side to actually generate the types. This is not as intuitive, right? And this works for most cases. This extra layer, this extra step, right? This is a time consuming thing, and we may miss it as well. So there, I came across one more way of solving it, and that's the main hero of this topic. Okay, yeah, so this is one more meme. Basically, why would we have to have one more copy in the client side? Though it's a generated thing, right? So why would there is still one copy in the client side of your types, and then the server side has its own type. So I mean, not its own type. Obviously, every run in every compile of your project, you would have your own copy. So why would we do all those things? Why can't the Parthi Mutta be in the Godown itself, right? Okay, so this is the thing. This is the main hero of the topic. So we're gonna make the TypeScript itself as our API contract using one framework. In nutshell, we're gonna talk about two things. Primarily, there is something called TRPC, and there is one more thing called Zod. Okay, TRPC is the framework we're gonna talk. The benefits is that it's so intuitive that the moment backend change. Okay, so right, like every one of you aware, the reason why we are using TypeScript is the type checking, right? So it reduces the code, the possibility of issues in your code. There are multiple uses of it. For example, it gives you autocomplete, right? Because the responses are typed or the code is typed, you know exactly what all the keys supported, so you would not define a key which doesn't exist. So and let's say if you have by mistake added something, it would give you those red squiggly lines showing you the error, right? So these are the advantages. when you use this TRPC, everything is intuitive. Say in the backend, backend engineers in their code base, when they change it, immediately you would see the type changes in your client side code, right? So there is the one important thing to notice, back in the previous approach, in the approach 1 which we talked about, there was a compilation step in which a copy of the TypeScript things are actually added in your client side. But here it's not actually added. I'll show you how it works, right? So before we dive into TRPC, so what is RPC? RPC is called a remote procedure call. In fact, I think most people would know it, but just that the naming convention is what we may not know. In fact, I for a long time was using Firebase, long time was using Supabase, both of which I would use the functions to actually do something in the server, right? Anybody use something like that, like Firebase, Supabase, or any other things where you would, or even some third-party SDKs, right? So you would call a function and that would do something in the backend, right? So basically that is a remote procedure call, but technically there are so many other variants of it. But on a very simple term, that is what a remote procedure call is, right? So the TRPC doesn't actually stand for TypeScript RPC, but we could think something like that. One analogy would be, take for instance NPM. NPM, many people say that it's a node package manager, but actually it's not a node package manager, right? So it is, how many of you think that it is a node package manager? Raise your hands, NPM. But actually you can take a look, search, but NPM is not a node package manager. NPM doesn't mean anything, it's just NPM. Likewise, this TRPC doesn't mean it's TypeScript remote procedure call, but it's just TRPC. Anyway, I just posted a shocking fact to you guys that NPM is not node package manager. I'm happy about it. Cool. Yeah, so we'll quickly run through a demo of what I was talking about. Okay. The first, this is a plain Express project and a simple client-side project with Axios. Okay. So here, if you see to the right, you have your backend. Okay, very simple project where I have defined two routes in Express.js. One is one is a root and the other one is /users, right? Over there, I'm doing just a get call, right? Get call, and the route I'm calling is greetings, okay? Now, this is a completely a non-typed one, right? So here, we would not actually get any type systems. For example, say I add this, instead of string in the params, there is no type checking, right? Larger, okay. Fine. Guys, is it visible? Huh? Okay. So this is a plain JavaScript services. So I have imported and I've used the TRPC library. This is a same version of the project, but I've loaded the TRPC into it, right? Here, if you see, this is a middleware which we've added. Okay, is it still small, guys, or is it visible? Visible. People at the back, is it visible? Okay, cool. So see, for example, the same pattern. Previously, to the left we had the backend services, to the right we had our client, right? The same. Here, this is what I was calling as RPC, right? So, for example, if I want to create a user, see to the right side, line number 34, I'm creating a new user. How I'm doing is, I'm doing a client.users.create.mutate. So this is a RPC. So I'm actually, instead of doing a direct raw API call, I'm using a RPC, remote procedure call, to actually create a user, right? This is a very small thing, but over here the thing to note is that the type checking comes into play. I just changed it. The magic is that the type system is not in the client side, but it's in the server. This server which is running here, if you see, I'm actually running TRPC server in the server side, which is what giving the types and making this happen. A couple of more examples is that a procedure in this library is that your routes could be, we could say your routes as your procedure. For example, by ID, this is a procedure which is being called here in line number 37. Okay. Now, say I'm just doing a const new user get all. Okay. Equal to await client dot users dot by IDs. Okay. This IDs is actually not here. If you see, I have a create procedure, I have a by ID procedure, but IDs is not at all there, right? What I can do is I can just copy paste this and I will create a new procedure here. Okay. And I would add the IDs here. Boom. You got your IDs in the client side. This would not be possible with your earlier generation. Like I was talking about using GraphQL and code gen, right, to generate the types. In that case, if let's say we were using the previous approach, what we would have to do is we would have to stop our project and then run the code generation, which should at the runtime compile time, it would create the types in the client side, and then only this will happen. And you will also have to restart your TypeScript server if I'm not wrong. But look how intuitive it is. It is not limited to adding new procedures. You could actually change the object types. So in this case, say backend guys, they change the types in the backend immediately at the moment. Even before you hit your save, you would see the type checks, right? So we no longer have to wait or ping the developer who's on weekend saying enada type sollama kollama mathi ipdi pandringle. Okay, so we no longer have that issue. Okay, so what all things we can actually do is anything related to type. Like what I showed you was a renaming of procedure. The same way, one more thing, I'll see why this is happening. So one more interesting thing which I loved about this is that, say you have your backend and frontend repo and you want to search for your say resolver in the backend. Okay, we would copy paste it and we would do it, right? But what we love is, say if you do a command and click back in Mac, you would go to the definition of your files, right? Same way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to command and click on this by ID, or I'm going to the actually I don't know if it's visible there, but you see the link is there to the backend files, right? So this is this by ID is actually sitting in the backend, but it's the same repo. I'll show you. So that's why you could actually jump to the definition from here to the backend repo, right? Backend files. Why this is possible is that one primary criteria where the full power of RPC is enjoyed is where it's a monorepo. A monorepo is a place where it will be one repo, but more than one project would sit into the same repo. So it's very flexible if your backend repo and frontend repo are in same place. Even if it's not in same place, we could leverage that, but some extra steps are needed, like maintaining a few things in your external npm package and explicitly maintaining it. So those things are a little overhead. But you know, like I'll now talk about the use cases of when these things would be really helpful. And sometimes, like not like it's not a silver bullet, right? So there are scenarios where even this is not a very good solution as well. But yeah, this is a solution to have in your pocket, I would say. Okay, where is my... All right. So I was talking about one more solution, right, where we use the code gen. I'll also very, very quickly show you how it works. Okay. So for this example, yeah, generally, like I was showing you the TRPC server, right? I was running a TRPC server in the local, and that was giving me the types, right? Same way, GraphQL would give something called introspect that would generally be coming from the server, GraphQL server, okay? But in my case, I've hard-coded that .GraphQL schema which would come from the backend. I have added it in the client side itself, okay? Okay, so what I'm demoing now is this code gen, okay, GraphQL with code gen and how it works, okay. I would not be going in detail, but a very, very quick example is what I'm going to show now. Say, okay, I have these GraphQL files, okay. See, this is a query which I've written. And this is the schema in which my user type is standing. So this is my GraphQL schema, which should come generally from the backend of backend GraphQL server. Say this is a client-side query. I'm commenting it out. Sorry. Okay. Fine. Okay. So if I'm doing the same thing, I would have to do this. This is the extra step I was talking about. When I do this, you can actually see the changes to the types. I've actually removed a query, and that has removed the client-side types. What you're seeing is the copy of the client-side types which I was talking about using code gen. When we do the code gen, I was saying a backend client-side copy of the types would be there, right? This is that. So what I'm going to do is, in the query, I'm going to uncomment it. So now the query is uncommented. Again, I'm doing a yarn compile. So if you see, the types which got removed earlier got added back, right? So this is how it works, and every time I'd have to do this. So now you see the difference of using the first one and the second one. The second one is, the first one using TRPC is more intuitive. We do a change, immediately it's reflected. Everything is seamless. We avoid this seamless step. So this is all about the demo. Now, when is it recommended to use the TRPC? So if you ask me, I would say if you're both backend and your frontend should be in TypeScript, and see if you are building some internal applications and you have a tight control over your backend, you could actually leverage this TRPC, okay? And I'll say you're a very small team and you wanna speed is something important without with all the benefits of let's say TypeScript. If you want to do it, TRPC is a very good thing. If you are using TRPC, there is one more validation library explicitly you'll have to use. So one of the popular validation library is Zod. So what this validation library does is, generally TypeScripts, this library like Zod, it would give you some runtime validations. A classical place where we can use is, say we are getting the responses, or say not responses, the request payload from the client, okay? And we want to type check that request payload, okay? Whenever client sends a different payload, we immediately want the client, the server to give some errors, okay? In this case, we could actually use this Zod validators. You could type check your request types, right? So generally when people use TRPC, they would use some of the validation libraries, like I was saying. Zod is a very popular library. You can just check about it. All right, so I don't know how much time I took. Was it very early? No, right? Let organizers say it. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, because they've asked me to do. What's 30 minutes? Okay, I'm exactly on time. Thank you. That's all, guys. The same reaction I would want to show. And this is my QR to LinkedIn again. Yeah. Any questions, guys? Yes, sir. So it's set up as there are different ways. One typical way which I found was has a middleware to a Node.js one. Yeah, correct. I could, correct. Yes, correct. I haven't used it in production, so I don't know about it. GraphQL Autogen is still what we are using, but this is an interesting alternative which I just found. So it has adapter almost for everything, in the client side at least. In the server side, I don't think TRPC is a good thing, right? Because like I was saying, the full power of it is with the TypeScript, right? When the server is running in TypeScript, the type checking and everything is very good, right? So the type checks are actually different, right? I mean, Java has a different way of enforcing the types, right, than the TypeScript. So, correct. In the client side, at least I've looked up, but in the server side, I haven't. Maybe there is a way, I don't know. Any other question, guys? Okay. No questions? Yes, Silva. It's a wonder that if you don't have I love you, man. I mean, you're really a true inspiration for me. Yeah, really. I mean, I'm saying. I know what I was doing when I was back.
Okay, the one which it's something what Kannan has asked, right? It's in continuation with it. So at the backend, we will have to define with that TRPC procedure in order to facilitate this. Else, let's say there is a backend in .NET. Can this adapter still be working, or do I have to do something with respect to the T and then marking a procedure over there at the backend?
That's what we just saw, right? We added a new procedure and it was reflecting.
That's
right?
correct. So if you're looking at the code, it was having some T dot procedure. So I'm asking that is T is something a package that it is tightly coupled to TRPC is something.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a reference to your server. I mean, I was saying, right? Those types are, it's kind of lively listening to the types.
Understood. So on the backend, let's say we were using just app.use for the very first example. The next example, what you have defined, probably had a T where you were defining what are the list of procedures.
Right.
So what is that T is something I'm trying to understand.
I'll show you the import.
Okay.
I'll show you the import. So
got it. Okay.
Okay, so it's an instance. I was saying, right? So we have created a instance which listens to the TRPC server.
Okay, again, this is server, right?
Yeah, this is server.
This is the backend application.
Correct.
Where this is different.
Yeah.
So we will have to be using this TRPC server package so that the client can connect to this one.
Right.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Right. No, there is no relation. Any other question, guys? Nope. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Manoj, for making the crowd so casual and giving a lot of insights. So before moving on to the next session, we'll have a small icebreakers and light off பண்ணல தூங்கிட்டீங்களா அதான் லைட் போட்டேன்னு சொல்றாங்க அப்படியா ரெஸ்பான்ஸே இல்லையே so all good we'll proceed okay so we'll move on to the next small icebreaker before kicking off to the next session so this is an icebreaker where you need to attend with your devices we have a QR code here so once when you log in we require login right to this is it asking for login please if so please to proceed and once everyone is done logging in we'll go for the questions so it's pretty simple we'll have a set of questions with a limited time sorry so if you're going to answer in that time we'll be having a leaderboard after every question so that we could see who is leading at end of the every questions so what kind of questions it would be mostly of connections and that relates to the TypeScript terms so I think it will be easy for you to attempt we'll start in another 5 seconds
Hello. Yeah. So all of you guys join. Everybody connected, please take out your mobile and scan the QR. How many join? Everybody join. So I guess we can go to start. Yeah, if you guys know the answers, please keep it to yourself, particularly volunteers. Strictly no volunteers. Yeah, start. 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 Yeah, it's try to find this word. More points for those who answer first. This one is a pretty famous person.
இதுல என்னடா 36 இன்கரெக்ட் ஆன்சர் வந்திருக்கு சி இதெல்லாம் கரெக்டாக பார்த்துக்கோங்க இதை வச்சு ஒரு 3 கொஸ்டின்ஸ் கேட்பாங்க நெக்ஸ்ட் just give the number like how many unique logos are there அவ்வளோதான் பறக்குது யாரும் இதுக்கெல்லாம் தூங்காமல் ஆன்சர் பண்ணுங்கள், ஏன்னா அடுத்து வந்து டேலண்ட்ஷிப்லேருந்து மணி வந்து பேச போகிறாரு. ஸோ அதனால தான் ஐஸ் பிரேக்கரே வச்சுருக்கோம். ஸோ கொஞ்சம் அட்டென்டிவாக ஆன்சர் பண்ணுங்க எல்லாரும். இது ஃபேமஸ் டெக் பர்சன் ஐ திங்க். ஸோ இதை நீங்கள் வந்து கெஸ் பண்ணுறது வந்து எனக்கு கஷ்டமாக இருந்துச்சு ஃபஸ்ட் டைம் நான் கெஸ் பண்ணும்போது. பட் எத்தனை பேர் கெஸ் பண்ணுறீங்கன்னு தெரில. இவ்வளோ பேத்துக்கு தெரியுமா அதுக்கு ஆன்சர்? பாதி கொஸ்டின் போனதுக்கப்புறம் இப்போ தான் ஒருத்தர் புதுசாக ஜாயின் பண்ணியிருக்காரு. லாரி பேஜ். இது ரொம்ப ஈஸியாக கண்டுபிடிச்சலாம்ப்பா. ஸோ உங்கள் நேம்ஸ்லாம் கரெக்டாக கொடுத்துருக்கீங்கல்ல. அட் லாஸ்ட் வந்துட்டு நேம் தப்பாக இருந்தாலும் தே கேனாட் கிளைம் த ப்ரைஸ். அப்போ நான் தான் கேக்கே அப்படின்னு சொல்லி கை தூக்கிடுவேன். கீ ஆஃப். ஏய் இது ரொம்ப ஈஸிப்பா, அங்கேயே இருக்கு. மோனிகா தான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் சொன்னாங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன், ரைட்? இதுல யாருப்பா 4 பேர் தப்பா கொடுத்துருக்கீங்க? தட்ஸ் பவர் பேங்க். கம்பெனி நேம்ஸ் அதே வேர்ட்ஸ் இருக்கு. ஸோ அதை வச்சு கெஸ் பண்ணலாம் எல்லாரும். வெரி ஈஸி. அது மை ஃபோட்டோன்னு எல்லாரும் ஃபோட்டோன்னு ஃபோட்டோஷாப்க்கே போறீங்களேப்பா. அங்கே மைன்னு ஒன்று இருக்குல்ல, அதையும் யூஸ் பண்ணுங்க. மைக்ரோசாஃப்ட். இந்த ஃபைனல் கொஸ்டின், இதுக்கு கரெக்டாக ஆன்சர் பண்ண டபுள் பாயிண்ட்ஸ். ஸோ சீக்கிரமாக ஆன்சர் பண்ணிங்கன்னா டபுள் பாயிண்ட்ஸ் கிடைக்கும். இந்த லீடர் போர்டில் இருக்கவங்க வந்து மேலே வரலாம். ரொம்ப ஈஸி, டக்குன்னு ஆன்சர் பண்ணுங்க எல்லாரும். இது அப்போ பாயிண்ட்ஸ் கிடையாது. மோனிகா, வாட் இஸ் திஸ்? டக்குன்னு பாருங்க, லீடர் போர்டில் கீழே இருந்தவங்க மேலே வந்துட்டாங்க. ஸ்பாயிலர் மோனிகா. ஓகே, த லீடர் போர்டில் வந்துட்டு டாப்பில் இருக்கிறது, சாரி கேக்கே, நான் கிளைம் பண்ணலான்னு பார்த்தேன், பட் 4th. ஹெய்சன்பர்க், சாரி. நத்தன் அண்ட் லக்கி ஸ்லோவாக இருக்கவங்க ரொம்ப ஃபாஸ்ட்டாக இருந்திருக்காங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். யார் அது? யுவர் நேம் இன் திஸ்? Sai Deepak. Mani. Mala. Second. Yeah, please come. Nathan. Who is Nathan? Please come. And Heisenberg. Yarpad. Nice. Sai. You were the lucky slow. First on the card. Yeah. And Nathan, the second guy. And Heisenberg. Thank you guys. Sorry, Monica. No.
Yeah, so congrats to all the winners and special congrats to all the participants as well. We have one more icebreaker, right? Maybe the other people might be lucky to win prizes as well. So with this, we'll move on to our next tech session. So the next tech session will be taken by Manikandan. Having around 6+ years of experience in software development, he is a true pillar of our talentship. So we are very much proud to have him here. The stage is yours, Manikandan.
Check. Okay. Hello everyone. Very good afternoon to all of you. So firstly, I would like to thank each one of you for turning up for this event, especially on weekends, right? We all know how precious weekends are for us. You guys could have done anything over this weekend, but you guys decided to come to this event to learn some new stuff and also to meet and connect with like-minded peoples. So which is really appreciable. Can you guys all give a big round of applause for yourself once? Thank you. So I would like to start this session by quickly introducing about myself. So yeah, my name is Manikandan Raman and I am working as a senior software engineer in Talentship, where I build full stack web apps, and the lovely part is I use TypeScript. Be it front-end with React or back-end with Node.js or any other libraries, I use TypeScript. I love working with TypeScript, right? Also in recent times, wherever I got opportunity, I gave talks, be it in college workshops or in company internal events. I love sharing my knowledge to others. And also I like to learn a lot from other people, right? So in this movement, I would like to thank Talentship and all the volunteers for successfully conducting this event and also for giving me this great opportunity to talk in front of you all. I think, yeah, enough. I don't want you guys to bore, saying more things about me. And of course, you are not here to know more about my things, right? So without any further ado, let's get into the topic. So why I'm here, what I'm going to take today. So as a TypeScript developer, before that, I would quickly like to ask few questions, because I can see there is mixed amount of audience here who are some college peoples and we have freshers and experienced professionals, right? So how many of you are professionals using TypeScript in your day-to-day coding or in your day-to-day work? Can you just raise your hands? Okay, I can see some hands raised. That's good sign. How many of you are learning TypeScript or you have interest towards learning TypeScript? Is there anyone? Nice. Again, we have some people who are interested in learning TypeScript. Thank you for that. Is there anyone who knows TypeScript and its benefit, but still for some reason prefers to use JavaScript? Is there someone like that here? May I know the reason? Okay, don't think about the project by like on your own, like do you like TypeScript or JavaScript? Like if you are going to work in a project, which one will you prefer? Okay, fine, yeah. So like since this is our first meetup, right? So this is our first TypeCoders meetup. I thought I can take something basic right from the very basic level so that it will be helpful for all, and maybe in the upcoming TypeCoders session, we will deep dive into the advanced concepts, okay? So what we are going to see, as TypeScript developers, one of the reason why we use TypeScript, like we can use type safety, right? Like let's say I have a function where I'm going to accept a data. I can say the shape, like this is how I want the data. We have the ability to define types, be it input or output. We can say this is how I want types, right? So this is one of the thing why we go for TypeScript. And be it TypeScript or JavaScript, we are blessed with one thing, npm packages. Like we no need to write code for all the scenarios. Like let's say we have a complex requirement. I want to do a front-end validation. I can simply use the Zord library. Even Manoj mentioned in this session. He mentioned about this Zord npm library, right? We can simply install them in our project and right away we can use them, right? Have anyone wondered how they would have built that library? Or how they would have formed type for that specific library? Even like, I'm not blaming you all, like even I am like in my initial stages, I don't care about them. As long as that npm package works for me, I will still use them and I don't care what happens behind the scenes, right? How they have formed types for this behind the scenes, right? Today what we are going to see is we are going to take one real world example and we are going to take one specific complex type from that package and we are going to break them down line by line. During this breakdown process, we will unlock different types of TypeScript. In TypeScript, like we have different set of types which we may be using, but we don't know the name, like how they were called. So we are going to also cover the different types of TypeScript during this phase, okay? So what is the example that I'm going to take? What is our decoding target today? I'm sure if you are a backend developer, you all use this TypeORM or at least heard about this TypeORM. How many of you work with TypeORM? Can you guys just please raise your hand? Okay, yeah, any type of ORM. Fine. So I think most of them are beginners and maybe front-end developers out there. Maybe I will take a minute to tell what this TypeORM is, okay? So basically what we do, we will store our data in databases, right? How we will access them? We will go to the DB console and we write our raw queries. Let's say I have a user table. What we do select star from user, then it will return as the exact data that we have in the table, right? So instead of writing raw queries, using this ORMs, what we can do is we can create objects for them. The ORM stands for object relation mapping. So let's say you have 10 tables in database, you have 10 equivalent objects in your code. Especially in TypeORM, they say it as entity. Okay, so if you have user table in database, you have user entity in your code. Using this user entity, you query the data, you don't write any raw SQL queries. This is the package it does. But with this package, we can query the data with two forms, okay? One is using their existing functions like find one, find many. You all seen that, like users.find one, users.find many, we can use that. It will work for simple approach, okay? Let's say I have a complex query where I need to do multiple joins and I want data in a specific format. In that case, this normal functions are not going to work. That's why TypeORM provides us one more function named query builder, where we can form the exact raw SQL type using their methods. This is how it will look. This is a small snippet. You can see I have used create query builder function. To this function, I have passed user object like user entity. I hope the code is visible to all of you, right? And I'm using their methods, like they are providing select, where, order by, and get one. These are all methods present inside that create query builder, right? So this is how they are providing that. What we are going to do is, like, we are going to have a look at their type, how they would have built the type for this specific function, and we are going to decode them down. Fine? Sounds interesting? If that's the case, then I will show you the type. I will hold the screen for a few seconds. Please try to read them. If you are able to understand, well and good. If not, don't feel bad. We are going to make things easier for you. Fine? Let's have a look. If it's not visible, try to look at the monitors. Can I move the slide or do you need some more time? Shall I move the slide? So what's your first thought after seeing this? You know, there is a set of code, at least 10 to 12 lines of code we have there. What's your first thought? Can anyone say? How many of you are able to understand what's happening there? Fine. I think for most of us, it looks intimidating at first. It's just normal because we are in fresher stage or just now entering into this, right? So don't feel bad. At the end of this session, I'm sure you will be able to know what's happening in this particular type, right? Shall we start? Then we are going to decode this thing together. During this breakdown phase, we will unlock different TypeScript types, okay? Shall we start? Are you guys ready? So yeah, let's start from the foundation, okay? Where we are creating type. Here you can see we are creating type. The type name is query builder. We are defining a type which has name query builder. After that, we have angle brackets, and inside angle brackets, we have two parameters. What is that? If you came across TypeScript documentation or any other type definition file, you would have seen something like this, where they have angle brackets. Sorry, here. Here. Where they have angle brackets, and inside that they use a letter. What is this? Generics, right? Can anyone say what generic does? Fine, like I don't deep dive into this generics because up next Selva will be taking the power of generics, so he will cover more in that. But I will just give you the overview what this generic does, okay? Let's say we can use this generics be it with a type, functions, class, with anything, okay? Why we use generics? Because we can make the thing reusable. Let's say I have a function, okay? I am accepting two parameters. If I mention them explicitly as number, I can only pass number to that function, right? If I try to pass string, what it will say? Only string is, number is allowed. You can't pass string. In such cases where you want a function to make it reusable with different set of data, you can use this generics. So if you use this generic, you will be accessing them as that particular generic value. Then throughout that file, that particular type will be inferred. Okay. And also there is no limit for generics. Like you can have n number of generics as much as you want. Also, there is no naming restrictions, like you have to name them as single letters, T or S. Why they mostly name them as T is like they try to refer T as type. So that's why in most documentations or places you can see them as T, but we can have any number of generics here, and we also use word names. We can give them the name word and we can use that same word throughout the type definition. Now if you have a look, we have type named query builder, and it accepts two generic type parameters T and S. What are all the rest of the things? If you remember, I told you, right, during this breakdown phase, we will unlock different types of TypeScript. We have one such type here. Can anyone able to guess what is the type that we are unlocking here? This part, this is utility types in TypeScript. TypeScript provides us multiple utility types like record, partial, omit, pick, required. There are a lot more. If you go to documentation, you can see a lot more types. Okay. Why we use these utility types? Why TypeScript is providing it? Because we don't want to develop everything from scratch. So they are providing us some things which we can use, which will make us easy to work with types. Okay. What is the purpose of using record here? We will use record to specify that we are saying that it should be an object. Here record is used to define it is an object, and if you see closely, it accepts two generic type parameters inside them. Okay, in object what we will have? We will have a key and have value, right? So the first generic type parameter represents type of the key. Okay, and the second parameter is going to represent value of that particular object. And of course, like we should not use any in our TypeScript code. It is highly recommended not to use any. If you are using any, then it doesn't make sense to use TypeScript, right? I am using any here for a purpose, which I will tell you later. Okay. So the first parameter, what we are saying is it should be a T and it is object. What is this extends? Anyone have idea what is this extends? basically we are adding a constraint here. We are saying we are expecting an object like t extends record, which is we are expecting the first parameter to be generic, but it should be an object. It can be any object. Like in real world, if I try to query user object, then it's going to be user object. It can be a post object, employee object, like whatever table we have, we will pass it, right? Still it is generic. We have not given the exact type. Like if we have user, if we pass the user, it is the exact type. Here we are generally saying it is going to be an object. We don't know which object it is. We can accept any object as long as it falls under this string and any. Okay. I hope this part is clear. So I'm going to the next part. I'm going to this base part. Okay. So this type is going to have 4 methods inside them. If you had a look at the typeorm example I shown you before, like they have used select method, var method, order by and get, right? So similarly, we are going to have 4 methods in them, and we are going to see each methods line by line, and at the end, like you will be able to understand what's happening. Okay. Let us start from select. Let's have a closer look. Select is the method here. It accepts a parameter named fields. Okay. What is the type of that fields? I'm mentioning it as k array. What is k here? K is again a generic. If you have a closer look before the function parenthesis, I am mentioning them as k, and this part is very, very important. I am mentioning k extends key of t. What is this key of t? Like from our first slide, we know t is going to be object because they are going to pass either user or post or any object. Okay. So we are saying like in the select field, they can use only the keys of the object. Why? Because if we have user table, we can only fetch whatever columns present in the table, right? What happens if you provide any other column? The database will throw an error that this particular column does not exist, right? So we don't want that to happen. We are preventing here. We are adding a type safety check here. We are saying selects can have a k array where k should extend key of t. It should be any of the keys of that particular object they passed. Okay, it will be very clear when you see the example here. I will show the demo at the very end. At that time, it will be very clear. So for now, it is a select method which is accepting one parameter, and that parameter should extend key of t. Okay, and as a return type, I am just returning back the exact type that we are building, query builder. I am returning them back. Why? We need to do this chaining thing, right? At first, if you see in the code example, like where we had select, then they access dot var, then dot order by. For the chaining purposes, I'm returning the same type back so they can able to achieve this chaining. Okay. So is this select part clear? So I'm moving to this var part. So var is the part like where we have lot of things happening here. Let's have a closer look at them. So basically to query in database, what are all the things we need for var condition? Let's say I want to take users who are greater than age 18. What I do? I will simply go select star from user where age greater than or equal to 18, right? If you break down this var part, we need 3 things. Like we need column which we are going to use to filter age, and we need an operator like greater than or less than, and we need the value, right? These 3 values are needed to form the var conditions, right? So that is what we are exactly getting here. This is a method. Inside that method, we have this 3 parameters. First one I am saying as field. Field is of type k. Why k? Again, we have the same generic which we had in select. K extends key of t because you can use var condition like whatever column present in the table, right? You can't use any other column. So we are again type enforcing, like we do the type check here. They can only use whatever columns present in that user, in this example, user object. Okay. For operator, since it involves some complex part, I will be covering them in the next slide. For the value, can anyone guess we are unlocking the other type, the one more new type here? Can anyone able to guess what this is or how it is called in TypeScript? This is indexed access type. We all know that T is an array, T is an object, right? And K is going to be a key of that particular object. We are accessing the type by going through its index, right? For example, if T is user object means K is equal to ID means we are going to user of that particular ID. Let's say ID is of type number, then that particular type is going to be returned. Why we need to have this check here? because if I need to query age greater than or 18, here age is a number field. Then 18 is also number, right? So those two should be same. Can I compare a number field with string? No, right? Can I compare a string field with number? No. So we should enforce this type check. Whatever column they are using in the var field, that should be the type of the value, right? So that's why we are having this check here. And it returns the same query builder again for the chaining purpose. Let's have a closer look at this operator part. Since it involves more things, let's have a closer look at them by line, okay? In this slide, we will unlock 2 more new types. So can anyone guess what will be the types here? If you want hint, I can give hint. I'm talking about this particular part. Exactly, it's a conditional type. Like it's just a ternary operator that we use it in our TypeScript code, where we have a condition at first. Then we have this question mark thing which will execute if the condition is true. Otherwise, whatever present in after this colon will execute if the condition is false, right? So what we are checking here? We are checking whether the T of k extends string. What is this? We are checking whether the value they pass is a string or not. If it is a string, we are going to provide them certain list of operations that they can perform. Okay. Here is the second type. This is union type, where we say if they have string, they can either use equals, contains, or start with these much operations, right? Why this is union type? If you see the pipe symbol, where we use this union type, if we are going to accept more than one data, like in those scenarios, we use this union type. If I want to give an example, if I have a function as parameter a as number, then I can only pass number to this function, right? If suppose I have a function a colon number pipe string, in that case what I can do? Either I can pass a number or a string. So in cases where you want to accept more than one data type, you can use this pipe symbol. Here I am using this pipe symbol to say you can either use equals, contains, or starts with, okay? Of course, in real world, there are a lot of operations available out there, but just for the simplification, I have taken them. Okay, let's have a closer look at this. All 3 lines. First, we are checking whether this is a string. If it's a string, we are telling you are allowed to do these 3 operations. Okay. If it is not a string, then it goes to the second line. Okay. If it is number, then we are giving them different set of operations, because with number we can do greater than check, less than check, greater than equal check, less than equal check, right? Which we can't do with string. So that's why if it is string, we are allowing the first 3 operation. Otherwise, if it's number means then we are allowing these 5 operations. Okay. And if it is not string, if it is not number, then it's going to come to the third line where we are checking whether the particular value extends Boolean. Okay, for this example, like in this particular type, I have covered only string, number, and Boolean, and not other types. Of course, in real world, we have date, timestamp, JSON-B, geometry, etc. But for this example, I have covered only these 3. Okay, so based on the type, we are providing the set of operations here. Here, we have one more new type here. Can anyone able to guess what is the new type in this particular slide? If you want hint, yes, what it is called? This is a special type. Okay, in TypeScript, we have special types like any, unknown, never. Why they are calling it as special types? Using this, you can't tell that the particular variable is of this type. If I have a variable with any, can you say what type it is? No. If I have a variable with unknown, can you say what type it is? No. Similarly, the case for never as well. That's why these 3 are known as special type. But why I am using never here? Because I told you in this example, I am going to cover only string, number, and Boolean, right? I am not going to worry about all the other types. So if that value doesn't falls under these 3, then there is never going to be a type. That's why we are using never. In that case, let's say if I pass date here, then these 3 is going to fail and there is never going to be a type there. So that's why we use never here. With this, we have covered select and where. I hope those 2 methods were clear. Let's move on to order by. So what are all the things we need for order by? Let's say you want to order by a column, okay? What you need? You need 2 things. First, you need a column name. Using which column you are going to order by, right? Second, direction, like you are going to use ascending or descending. These are the only 2 options out there, right? So that's why we have 2 methods here, like a method with 2 parameters. Okay. This parameter again has a generic like kx and key of t, because using the column present in the table only they can use order by. And for the direction, I'm using ascending or descending. Here also we have one more new type. Can anyone say the type name? How this will be called in TypeScript? This is a literal type. What is literal type? We are telling TypeScript, I literally expect this value. Okay, I'm saying TypeScript, I only want ascending or descending here. I'm using literal type along with union here. Okay, before we see union type, right? So I'm saying ascending or descending here. Here you can see both are strings, right? Both are wrapped under single quotes, ascending or descending. I can simply give string type, right? Why I have to do this? Because if I give string, it will accept any string. Be it any string, it will just accept because it's of type string. So that's why I'm literally telling to TypeScript like this direction parameter should either accept ascending or descending. If they pass any other thing, just throw an error. Okay. So on this method again returns the query builder, and at last we have this execute method. So in real world where this execute method will interact with database and get us the data back. Okay. So since that's why like since it involves some time delay operations, we are returning them as promise as async operation. And this pick is again one more utility type that I have shown you previously as well. So to this pick we pass two generic type parameters. One is t, which is the object, and second will be the keys of that particular object. Okay, so it's going to return them as array because they can select more than one fields, like more than one rows. Is this clear? Till all the four methods are clear for you, like, or in any one of the methods do you have any doubts? Sorry? It's just a mock implementation, like I have not taken the actual code. It is just a simplification of version. Here I have used promise. Why we use promise? To handle asynchronous operations, right? So I am saying that it's going to return me a promise. Inside this I am saying I'm using this pick. Pick is basically it's accepting two things. T is the object, which is they can't pass user object or employee object anything. And S is the fields that they have selected. So it's going to return the selected fields as array. That's it. Any other questions regarding the four methods that we have seen? No, right? Then what we are going to do is we are going to again combine all the things that we have break down. Now we are going to have a look at them. Just have a look at them and see if it makes sense now. Which you seen at first may look intimidating to you. After decoding them line by line, just have a look one more time and see if this makes sense now. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Is it clear? Shall we move? So during this deconstruction, we have explored different set of TypeScripts, right? Shall we just recall what are all the types that we have seen? We have used primitive, where we used string, number and boolean, and we have used union, especially in the order by direction field. We use union to tell either ascending or descending, right? Similarly, we used indexed access type for the in var method, especially in the value parameter, we used type by its index. And we also covered conditional types in the var method operator parameter, where we provided them set of operations based on the type they have used, right? And also we have seen utility types such as record, pick, promise, etc. And at the end we seen this literal type where we used ascending or descending to literally say the TypeScript, I only want these two values. And also special types like never and any. I told you I had a purpose why I had used any. This is the purpose, just to mention it here, I had the any there. Okay. So we have created the type now. So what is the benefit of creating these types? Why we need to create types at first? Why we create such complex types? We need to use it somewhere, right? What is the purpose of creating types and keeping it there? You have to use it somewhere in your code. Shall we see where we can use this? This is just a mock function, like plain TypeScript function where the function name is create query builder, okay, and it accepts one generic type parameter. Basically this is going to be the object with which they are going to query, okay. And if you have a closer look here, the return type is the type that we have built till now. This function is going to return data in the shape of query builder. What this query builder had in it, it had an object, it had 4 different methods inside them, right? Select, where, order by, and execute. If you have a closer look at this return thing, what it returns an object with select, where, order by, and execute with same set of parameters that they had. Even if I remove any one thing, then TypeScript will tell an error that you are missing this particular property. So that's why we have formed such complex type at first, which is helping us here, right? So if in demo, like you can clearly understand even better than this. So now we have created the type, we have used it somewhere, and I can see like I can hear a lot of your mind voices like, show me how it works, right? You need to know like why we created this thing. You need to know how it works, right? So let's quickly jump into the demo session of how this thing works, okay? I have an editor where I have a type. This is the type that we have seen throughout this session, okay? And this is the function that I shown you recently, like a few minutes back, where we had a function and that function returned this query builder type, right? Let's assume this as user entity, okay? Let's assume this as user table, like in database, we just have an object for that here, okay? So how we can use this, let us see here, okay? I am having a async main function here because that execute is going to return me a promise. So to use await, I have an async function here. I'm just going to create one variable, okay? I'm going to use await and I'm going to use the function that we created here. Create query builder is the function that we created using the type, right? To this function, we need to pass our type that we know because we mentioned generic there. So that's why I am sending this user type to this create query builder function, okay? If I just come back and press dot, see, it gives me auto completion, like it gives me the suggestion to use this 4 methods because these are the 4 methods that we have developed during the type creation, right? So here I can go ahead and say inside select, I can pass whatever fields that I want. For example, it will just show me auto completion because I have used user object here. It shows all the keys present in that particular object, okay? I can select ID, I can select name. What will happen if I try to select something not there? It will throw me an error because we had a check there, K extends key of T. We said whatever value passed to select must be key of T. Here T is user object. Whether this third field is a key of that particular object, no, right? That's why we are getting this error. Similarly, we can use other methods. For example, we can use this where method, where has 3 fields. First one is going to be the field with using which we are going to query. For example, if I want to take users greater than age 18, I can use age here, right? If you have a look here, since this age is a number field, it gives me these options. If suppose I use a string field here, for example, if I use a name here, then the list of operations will be entirely different. This is why we use the conditional type there, right? If it is a string, we said these are the operations you can perform. If it is a number, then you can perform different set of operations. So here I'm going to use age greater than, and if I try to get 18, again I'm getting error. This is why the indexed access type comes in. I said whatever type the column is, that is the type that you can use in value as well, right? Here age is a number type. How can I use a string here? So it will allow me only to use number type here. If I use a number here, then the error will be gone, okay? Then I can do this order by thing. To this order by thing, we know we need to pass 2 things. One is the keys of that particular value. For example, I am going to order by using this ID, and we are provided with these 2 options. This is where the literal type comes in, okay? I can only give any of these 2 types. If I try to give any other thing, again it will tell me an error that you can use only these 2, okay? And at the end we will be using execute, right? This execute is going to give me an array back. If I try to access this result value now, I know this result is going to be array because execute method result return me an array. So I'm just directly going into the 0th index. What happens if I press dot? It shows me ID and name. Why? That is the 2 fields I have selected, right? If I go ahead and add email here, then come back and press dot here, now it will show me ID, name and email because I have selected these three fields now. This is where the power of TypeScript exists. So writing a good type is always essential. Then if you write a good type, it may take some time at first. I'm sure like a lot of you have pain writing such types, but if you write this by putting some effort, you are going to reap the benefits while you work on that. Okay, so the motive behind this session is like I wanted to show like you should always have a look at, if you are using npm packages, just don't blindly use them. Go to their repo, see how they form types, so that you will get some idea. Next time you are in a situation where you want to write such complex types, where you don't have any npm packages for that scenario, at that time you have get some idea, right? Because you have read somewhere, okay, I can use this way, like I can use it like this. At least you will have some idea using which you can form that complex type. So this is the reason why I wanted to cover this. So I'm done with my session. Any question regarding this? Whatever that I took now, like any questions in this? No? Is that very clear that you guys don't have question? Yeah. Okay. Here?
Yeah, you define like 4 functions like select, where, order, by, and execute.
Yeah.
What if like I won't need where in all the cases, right? What if I want to remove where and use the other 3 functions alone? You said it would be throwing error since we needed a 4th. So.
No, like we are saying that this particular type returns as 4 methods. We are not saying you should use all the 4 methods. It's up to you. If you want to have where, you can have it. If you don't want to have, it's completely fine. No, that's a different part.
Oh, okay, fine. So I just wanted in detail like how it can be make it like a record, or how it can be make it as a conditional one.
Okay.
So since you just covered the basic part, let me find it.
Yeah. Okay. Any other doubts or questions? No? If no more questions, like I have everything what I took in this session as this Medium article, like I just have the summary. So just scan this summary, scan this QR. If you have any doubts, like just scan my LinkedIn URL and reach out to me. Don't hesitate, like you can reach out to me anytime. You can scan both of this QRs. I can just hold this screen for a minute. Yeah. Group by which really?
Let me say that I'm going to group everything on a certain column. Okay, now I had grouped everything. So in order to filter out, I would be using the having query in SQL. So how can I just replicate that the same approach via this query builder?
So we had this type, right? We had this type that we have seen, right? Like where I have covered only 4 methods for just the simplification of this session. But in real world, we have different methods like group by, having so many things which is present in particular type. So you have to implement the logic for group by and having there so that you can use them here in your code while you work. Just for the simplification, I took that 4 methods. Is everyone scanned the QR? Fine. If that's it, like with that note, I would like to thank you all for patiently listening to this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mani. So before starting to our next session, we'll be having a short break. We'll be having a refreshments in the pantry. So please feel free to have the refreshments, and we'll be back in 10 minutes, sharp 4. So the QR will be displayed for another 3 minutes. Like whoever comes and log in 3 minutes can start with the quiz. And I'm sorry for the people who comes after that. So it's the acknowledgement for the people who scans earlier. Hello.
The QR.
So people here, have you scanned the QR already? So we have same exciting prizes for the people who stay in top 3 in the leaderboard. So come on, we have one more speaker. Don't be
People in pantry.
Very lazy, not lazy.
Marshall.
Don't be sleepy.
Guys, we are just going to start.
People here, have you scanned the QR? Or anyone need time to scan the QR?
One minute.
Okay, yeah. Guys, we have more time after the session. You can network there also. So can we please be settled? So we can network later, guys, in pantry. And Selva is also waiting eagerly to kickstart the next topic.
Okay. Stop. Yeah, I think we can.
Okay, guys, then we will start now. I think so 37 people join and yeah, we can check.
1 second.
Who needs time? Okay.
One more minute. Anybody want to join?
And here our speaker is also joined, but if he gets the first prize, we will not give it to him. So don't worry. So can we kickstart now? Everybody?
Good to go?
Good to,
yeah.
Fine. In questions, okay?
It's pretty quick and all MCP.
What is the purpose of TypeScript? Come on, your time is running, guys. Guess it.
2 sessions are over. Everybody should answer correctly.
So convert JS to Java. That's right, right? No. Actually, it has already started.
There is a fun fact also there. TypeScript is actually designed by someone.
What
who
will
also
type
created
of
C#.
null return in TypeScript? Don't leak the answer, guys.
Spoilers, please be quiet. Type of null.
Yeah, but she's right, but she has leaked the answer already.
Most of the people are right. That's the answer. This is actually a bug initially.
What's a TypeScript developer's favorite type of tea? It's a fun question.
Is it a green tea?
I will say any tea. Safety. What does read only do in TypeScript? I think so. Mani has told that, right? In the session.
Read only. Yes.
Read only.
Actually, guys, there is one more read only in JavaScript also. So go through the options.
I think so. Next session he will take after 5 o'clock. Why did TypeScript dev refuse to use any keyword? But I will use any always.
It's not a technical question. At the end of the day, it's up to each and every developer, right?
No, I don't like TypeScript, so I use any always. How do you define a tuple in TypeScript? Last week only I learned about tuple in Python. I think so. If Mani joined, he will get all the points.
Yeah, I know all the answers.
Not you. What does never mean in TypeScript? The answer is also from last session, right?
Yeah.
Mani gave answer for it. So if you have focused on the session, then you could answer it. Guys, in college, like I used to answer like A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, then I will get a most probability and I will get it.
This one everybody might have used this exclamation mark.
True or false? TypeScript code runs differently in the browser. Oh, directly in the browser.
Do TypeScript run in browser?
False is the answer.
The answer is false.
And the final question, you have double points for this. So if you are in third or fourth place, you can push it hard. What is the default type of untyped variable in TypeScript?
Everybody will get a double point for this.
I will not get.
Okay. The
Great. So
default
now
type
we can go to
is
leaderboard
any.
and see who is in top 3.
Nikhil is at 4th.
Nikhil is 4th. Selva Prasad. Lucky Slow again. He came in second, and Bruso. So Bruso, Lucky Slow, and I will go with Priyadarshini. Nikhil, you are Nikhil, right? Why? She. Okay, so for Lucky Slow we will give chocolate. Bruso, can you come? And yeah. Great. And Lucky Slow. Where's Lucky Slow? Great. And Selva Prasad, we will give you something else. For Nikhil, yeah, we will give chocolate. And Priyadarshini. Selva, we will give different thing. Nikhil. Great. And we have Priyadarshini and MK. Great. Who's MK? MK from the crowd? Yeah, great. Okay, thank you guys.
Okay. So thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you so much, John and Mani, and congrats to plenty of winners in this icebreaker. So I never expected it. Lot of techies here, I guess. So over to our last session. So I think initially I've said about Selva. So Selva is an senior software engineer as Bounties. So he's into the full stack expertise, also having a vast knowledge in the cloud platforms as well. So in every session, you see him, he'll be making the conversations too deeper and makes everyone getting thoughtful outputs. So I think he's in the answering position this time, and you'll be getting more inputs from him as well. So the stage is yours, Selva.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, I think I'll just share my screen. All right, play from start. Okay. So first of all, as Devi, thank you so much for the brief intro. I think this is a new, this is a place I used to come usually, but this time it's on a new, different role, I can say. So yeah, thank you so much, the TypedCoders, for inviting me, and Shanti for giving me this opportunity to talk about the generics today. Okay, without any further delay, let's get started. Okay, first I would just like to understand the overall person's thoughts and where your expertise is at. Okay, so how many of you are working at Frontend? Okay, great. So are you using React, Angular, or anything else? React. Oh, Lick. Okay, maybe I'll have to learn maybe about it further. Okay, how about the backend? Do we have people from backend as well? Okay, I can see few hands. What is the, are you using Express or Node Express or any new framework? Golang. Nice. Okay. Very good. Because I think we have a mixed set of audience, which is good. And now, any persons over here who haven't actually developing, or let's say you are in a college as such? College. Okay. Are you using JavaScript? Yes. Yes. Have you heard about TypeScript? Yes. Great. So the question is wrong. So I should ask it in a way that, how well have you gone into TypeScript? Not much. Okay. What do you define a TypeScript is? Can someone just share your thought that, okay, this is what I feel it to be TypeScript? JavaScript, TypeScript. What is the difference? It's a type of... Okay. Okay, you heard the word. All right. Got it. How about you? Oh, it seems easier than JavaScript. All right. Maybe it seems so, but a lot of people used to say in the other way around. So if you ask on a people wherever you're going, probably they'll say, hey, how many of you hate TypeScript? Then you will see a lot of hands being raised. Hey, I hate TypeScript. But if you understand it properly, you will not hate it. You will love it. So that's what the TypeScript is going to be. It gives a lot of control on how you can code. And of course, there are other factors that we have to consider, whether we have to use TypeScript or not. Let's say there is a project which requires timely delivery. I don't want to think about whether it is typed or not. For me, the outcome is the first. Then I may not choose the TypeScript. Let's say when I'm considering a production grade application, should I choose JavaScript or TypeScript? End of the day, the TypeScript gets compiled back into JavaScript. But why are we still going to TypeScript? Just to make sure that the entire data is being typed and we can avoid issues being interpreted at the terminal or at the IDE level. Let's say, imagine a situation where there is a form and I'm having a username and then password. I'm trying to get a new field called date of birth, which may not be defined. What will happen in that case is, if you are using JavaScript, JavaScript will not say you, hey, this data does not exist. Probably it will just throw an error when it is being at the runtime. But what will happen with the TypeScript is that it will show you that, hey, you have a field called this date of birth, but the date of birth is not available in your type that you have defined. So that will be the main difference over here. Okay, first, okay, this is a short introduction about TypeScript. I know I did not dwell in deep so far, but so far any questions? What is TypeScript? Why are we using it? All good? Perfect. Feel free to stop me at any point of time. Next slide. Okay, I should have turned it on. No, it's okay. It's not turned on. Okay. So this is how the typical persons used to think about TypeScript with generics. Okay. So I think first we will be crying. Later then we will realize, okay, we don't have any way. We just have to learn it and then we will have to go with it. So just if you are going to be a Rangancheta, just make sure that you learn things in deep, or you learn how actually it works, so that you will be the next gangster in your own organization. Okay. Okay. Let's go ahead further. Now, it's a, like I want to take it to be as interactive as possible. So let's say, Urichinna Karpane. Okay. Is anybody can't understand Tamil? Okay, great. So you will have got to know the situation or this template at least. But if not, I'll explain this. This is a Kalakapodiyar template that is from some years old. Probably you can see that still, but still. Okay, but yeah, let's come to the point. Given a point of, let's take a situation. Say I'm going to ask you, consider you have a list of names in a array, right? I want to get the first name from the array. How will you define a function in TypeScript? Yeah? You want to try? Okay. Would anybody like to try? Come on. Just, okay, let's go with this, right?
First, I'll tell this answer. Next, I'll ask someone from here. Okay. Let's say I have a list of, I have an array of names, and then I will be just creating a function, and then I'll pass that to the function so that it can be reused elsewhere. Okay. So that is going to be the next slide. Okay, great. I have a function called this get first string from the array, and then I'm passing in this string array of strings, and then I'm going to get the first element from the string. Okay. Now what happens if I have to do the same for a array of numbers, right? So this is array of strings, right? If you can see, it is accepting the parameter type to be string, array of strings. Now what will you do if I have to do it for number? Can you try? Just give it a try. See, you have this function where you are having this function name followed by array, and then you are defining a string. Okay. Now, and then you are saying that the string is nothing but the return type of what it is getting. So in this case, now I want this to be converted to a number. What should I do? Exactly. There you go. That's it. So what I will be doing is, that's the next slide. Perfect. I have got this, right? Now I have this get first number from array as a new function that is going to get an array of numbers, and then it will return a specific or the first number from the array. Great. Let's say, what if I am going to ask you, hey, can you do this for an object, right? What will you do? Again, let's go ahead. We will land up something like this, right? So the get first number, get first string, get first object, get first boolean. So we will be creating the same code once again for solving the same problem. What is the problem? Getting the first number or string or boolean or object from the array, right? This is the problem. Who is going to be the solution? Generics. Var natural. Nee varvane enak theriyum. So that's how the generics is going to solve this. Okay. So okay. I think probably to give a fair idea, maybe someone who is into professional experience, right? Can you just give some insights about what a generic is? Okay, I'll ask Nikhil. Come on, Nikhil. Give it a try. Because he has given a 1 hour session in 2 years back, so he can talk about it even more better than me. Yep.
It's difficult to define, but if you give an example, it will be easy. So I'll give an example. So if you try to pass in something, right? So you know what you're going to pass. So basically, think of it as an argument. You're going to pass the function. So generics will define at least the full of what you're going to pass or half of it. So it will be based on whatever you're passing in. So or you're returning from.
Right.
So based on the input or the output, you can define a generic.
Perfect. Yeah, that's cool. Now let's get into its literal meaning. I think we can give a round of applause for Nikhil for that. Yeah. All right. Let's get into the actual meaning. What does it say? What do we call it as general? Which means it is something that is common for all, right? That is what the literal meaning that gets converted into generics as well. Okay, perfect. What is the problem that we are trying to solve? I have a different type of objects. Now I have to do this. Now I have to do that. But why? To solve the same problem. Okay. So I'll just open the Visual Studio Code just to show. All right. I'll close all of this. And then, sure. Let me get into this intro. And I'm going to close it. Hope this is visible. Yeah, perfect. So let's say this is the generic function, what I'm writing. Why do I say this to be generic? Not just because of the name. Okay. Let's say the get first element is a function name followed by a type. This is what I'm calling it to be. Okay, not this. This is what I'm calling it to be generic. So why do I say that? Because I'm not defining it to be a number or a string or a boolean or an object. I'm just saying that, hey, whatever may be the data that is getting passed to you, just accept it. Okay. And this is going to be the syntax for a generics. So you'll get a function name and what is the generic that you want to pass it on. And here I'm saying that this is going to be the input. What it is, I'm getting that value under a variable called ARR, right? What am I defining it to be? I'm just saying that the type of this ARR is going to be type of array. What does that mean? What do I do when I give it to be string, right? It is a string. So perfect. Now let me tell you why am I not solving this problem in a different way, right? So you said, boss, the problem for you is you have this string and then number. So why don't you just add something like string or number array, okay? And then string or number. See, you have got the problem solved. You are not getting any TypeScript errors. Why are you still going over it? Now, let me hover over this first number. What does it infers, right? It says, hey, it can be either string or it can be a number. What am I missing here? The type, right? The point what we are trying to establish with the TypeScript is the type. But we are losing the type, whether it is a number or is it a string. Okay. So now how does this t differs in this way is that, let's imagine I'm giving this to be t and then t, right? So in this case, I'm passing an array of number, and what will happen is this is getting converted, or this will get inferred that, okay, I'm getting a input which is of type number. Likewise, the next time when I'm giving an input called Selva, it is identifying that this is a string. And if I'm going to hover over the same now, what you can see is that it's a first number which infers its type to be number. Likewise, when I'm hovering over it, I can see that the type is getting inferred as string, which is what I need, right? How amazing it is. So this is the starting for a generics. Any questions up to this point of time? Okay, great. There are two things I can infer if the entire room is silent. One is everybody understood everything. The other is nobody understood nothing. I'm taking in the first positive way. So let's move on next. Okay. All right. So that is what we are calling it as generics. The next couple of things is going to be with respect to, okay, it's going to be a kind of problem and a solution oriented way, but we'll learn something over this. Okay. This is what we have just seen with another example, right? So here I'm just saying that, hey, don't worry about anything. Just return me the data, what I'm returning. Let's say, what will be the default type that will be inferred if I'm not giving that unknown? Perfect. Good answer. That exactly. It will be inferred as any. So now if I'm going to hover over this, I'll be getting this. Perfect. Number problem is a data type. I mean, it's a variable. It can be of type any. So this is my problem now. So what I'm trying to do, let's say, okay, who would like to give an answer for this? Would you like to try? No? Okay, let's say I want this type generic to be defined onto this area, okay, which is, let's say, here I'm getting this type which is t, it's of type unknown. How can I make it as a generic? What is the syntax that I have to use over here? Right, exactly. We would be required to use, yeah, you're correct. We would be required to use a type followed by the parameter that has to be replaced in the place of unknown. Perfect, yeah. That's going to be our very first solution, okay? Great. What I'm achieving now, I'm sending the number to be 1. Why am I getting it to be 1 and then here I'm getting it to be name as what I have sent? Because both of them are being sent into this function as a input parameter. The function what we are returning is just returning the parameter, right? So that's why we are getting that value to be as same as what we are sending. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, great. Now, perfect. Selva, you have said that I can able to say or I can see that generics is working fine. What if I have a situation where I will have to restrict only a specific data type or a specific function or a specific type that has been already defined so that other types will not be able to use it, right? Let's say I'm defining a generic type which says it to be it can be extended by a string or it can be extended by a boolean type. I should not allow a number data type to use the generic function. How can I do that, right? So that is what the next thing what we are going to look at. So if you have understood the previous session, things would have started popping up your mind that what could be the possible solution for this. Okay, so that is what could be the keyword. We were learning some of the keywords last session, right? So for example, we were learning about inference usage and then index access to type and then utility types over there. Can you put some utility types over here? Yeah. No, just give it a try. No, not operations. Let's say, what is inheritance? Perfect. That's it. That's it. So let's come back to the solution of this. Okay. Great. Now I'm saying that, hey, it can be of type T, it can be anything, but it should extend type, it should extend the data type string, else it will throw error. Now let's say I'll minimize this a bit. Okay. For this, I'm not getting any error. For this, I'm getting error saying that argument of number is not assignable to parameter of type string. So this is what the conditional, what the constraint, what we can impose it, even though when we are using generics. Of course, we are using generics, but does that mean we cannot impose constraint? Definitely not. We can still do the constraint. So that is an example of this one. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Now imagine, okay, now everything looks good. Perfect. We have one parameter. So the one parameter works fine. So now this is the next level what we are moving into, where we have two parameters. There is A and then there is a parameter B. How can this work in generic, right? So how does the earlier syntax of generic look like? Let me go back to the slide. Okay, I think slide does not have it. Okay, no worries. Let's say we were having a parameter called T, or the angle within the brackets we were having something called T. Now we have two parameters. What does that mean? That's it. We can have two parameters on the brackets as well, which is, let's say, perfect. Now we have T and S. What does that mean? We can just let the arguments know, okay, the A is going to be argument of type T and B is going to be an argument of type S. What does that A and S defines, or what is the T and S defines it to be? Let's say the first parameter what I'm passing it, which is A, it will be mapped against T, and the second parameter number, which is 1, I'm passing it will be mapped against B. So if I see this independent solution, I can see that A is of type string and B is of type number. Okay. So this is one another step into generics. Any questions yet? No? Perfect. Good. Okay, great. So far we are seeing simple things. So you have just whiled away. Now let's think of this. Would be your thought. So let's say I have an object. I need a list of object, or I need an object to be passed and the type to get inferred based on the value what is present in the object, right? Let's say I have this A and B. If I hover over this result now, it's saying that unknown and unknown for obvious reason, because I'm giving this. Let's say I'm giving this to be A and then B. Of course, it will be just saying any. Now I'll have to infer the parameter within an object. So how can we go about on this? We have two parameters, which is A and B. Now we need those two types or those two parameters to have two different variables defined, and those two different variables has to get passed into this function. So that's going to be our next step. So let's say what we will be doing is, there are two solutions for it. First we'll go with the first one and then we'll move on to the next one, right? Okay, so let's say we have this T1 and T2. So these are the two values what I'm saying. Okay, perfect. Now what is there? There is params, which is again an object, and the object says A is going to take the type T1 and B is going to take the type T2. What does that mean, right? So if I'm going to hover over this result of V1, it says that the first is going to be a string and the second is going to be a number. How does that happen? Because the value what I'm passing it, the A takes the type to be T1. What is T1? The first value of what is being passed over here. And the second one is going to be the type T2, which is nothing but the second parameter what I'm passing here. Okay, so we also have another solution for it. So I'll just run through it once again. Instead of just defining that, hey, why do I need two different types to be defined? Why don't I use a single type and then single generic type, and then that can infer all of that? Perfect. You are feel free to do that, right? Let's say this T1 extends A of type string and B of type number. This will work perfectly fine. If you make it to be a reverse of it, let's say I'm gonna say that all right. So let's say if I'm hovering over this type, it's telling me that the first is going to be string. What will happen if I'm going to give it over reverse? Still it can understand that the first is going to be a string and the second is going to be a number, because it's either taking the first value of what I'm passing it to be a string and the second value what I'm passing it over here as a number. Okay, so the params gets the whole type being defined and then it will return the value accordingly. Okay, all right. Okay, great. Now let's discuss about something into front-end and back-end, right? So there are a lot of people who said you are working on front-end, right? What are the common problems that you have seen where you have to continuously create multiple types for the, let's say, for any problem? You would have been creating a type. Okay, perfect. This type is looking good. Now I'll have to create a new type once again, just to make sure I'm solving the problem of what I have to solve. Do you have any use cases or situations like that? Okay, think about it. Likewise, backend, for the persons who are working on backend with TypeScript, just imagine if you are having any situation where you'll have to continuously create types, or just imagine that the same type is going to get repeated for n number of times, right? So have you, can something, I mean, does something ring a bell in this, in both of these use cases? Yeah? Right. Great. In API payload and response, right? Great. Any front-end specific ones? Same way, okay. Okay, all right. So I've got two use cases, one for the front end and then one for the back end. So probably we will just see, understand what is the problem, and then we'll go what is going to be the potential solution, right? So I'm gonna stop this and then let me get into, since they said it API, so let's start from an API, right? So this is a simple node server where I'm saying that this is going to be the user, and then I'm going to get user by ID, and then I'm just having a router, and then I'm exporting the router. For people who are completely into front end, so this is just a node application where I'm defining that from the express, I'm just going to say create a router, and then I'm defining a type for the user, and this is a function that is going to get your user information by their ID. And for now, I've just, for simplicity, I've just given my name over there so that it's going to return a valid response and so on. Okay. Now we have two cases, right? There is a positive case and there is also a negative case, right? Let's say the positive case is going to have a response like this. Perfect. The API has been hit successfully. It has responded with something. whether it is positive or negative. That's the problem. Let's say I am finding a record that is present in the database, which is a positive case. In that case, I'm going to return a 200 response, and without by saying that this is a success, right? But let's imagine the other way. I am giving an identifier which is not already present in the database. Then I'll probably get a 404 response, right? In both of these cases, the success is going to be a constant value that, or a constant key that will be present for both of these responses. But whether it is going to be a data or is it going to be an error, right? So that is what I have it as a responses over here. So let's say it's an interface called user API response, and then it is going to say status, success or error, and then it has data, and then it has error. Let's imagine the success response, which means it is success. So there is nothing I have to touch on this API or for this response at all, which makes sense because of course it's a success. I don't need to worry about should it have error or so on and so forth. So this makes it really cool, right? What is the other way of it? Now let's say I am getting one more. This is working perfectly fine for a user API response. Now I have one more endpoint called account API. Then I will have to create the same type once again, saying that, okay, this is an account related one. You have this, the account is going to be, if it is a success case, if it is a failure case, you are going to have two more types. Let's say now you have one more API called maybe authorization related one. Maybe this user you can consider it to be an authentication one, and you have something called as authorization related one. It can have a positive flow or a negative flow, both of this flow as well. Now, imagine the number of types what we will be creating if we keep on adding this different responses for the same kind of keys what you are going to return, right? It is going to be it is not a problem yet, but it's not an efficient way of doing. So let's see a possible solution for this. Great. Now I have something called as API response. So the API response has the basic information, which is data, the status, whether it is success or error, and then data. I'm marking it to be a question mark. What does that mean? It's a perfect. It's an optional one, which means the data can either be there or it cannot be there. Likewise, when it comes to the error, I'm again marking it as to be an optional one. Why? Exactly. Maybe for a success call, we will not have an error at all, right? How does this get transformed, right? Let's take an example of a success response. Okay, great. I have the success response. What does it do? It accepts something like this, which is again a generic. And the data what we are going to pass, it is having the same type to be generic. And it is going to return a response with respect to the API interface what we have created over here. What does it do? Let's say the data that is coming is of type T. It is going to be returned as a API response of type T. What will happen? We have this API response where we have this status, and then again we have this data which is of type T. So it will exactly produce the same response as what we are expecting for a success use case. Let's imagine this is for an error response. So we have a status error, and then we have an error message as a string. Perfect. This is going to produce the same response. Irrespective of any change in data, or let's say any number of responses, we can utilize this common generic type, which will provide you the way to make it you're not overloading or you're not writing the same type once again. And then now let's say if I changed this status from success to positive, now you have to check all, or you'll have to update all the endpoints or all the types with the new value called this positive. Now let's say you are having it as a generic function, generic interface. Now you will just have to make one change over here. This is going to get applied for all the events, all the APIs or all the endpoints that is going to produce a similar response, and that will get changed real quick. Okay. Any questions on this? Perfect. Great. I think the positive flow, I'm still flowing with the same positive flow. Okay, now for a front end, okay, let me go with this way. So the front end developers, you would have developed a form, right? For sure. No, none of us can say, no, I did not. So you would have definitely developed some form at some point of time. Let's say I have a form at user being logged in. I mean, when a user is getting logged in, I have a form. And then I have one more form called this user's profile information. And I have one more form called this submitting the feedback. Or maybe let's say I have one more form called the frequently asked question. I'm asking any question. So there are a lot of forms what I have in the front end, right? Let's say if I am about to create, each components is going to have its own form related ones. I will be landing up creating a large number of same form related ones, but is it going to be a generic one? No, it may not be. Let's say I might require some informations like name and password, I mean username and password for a login form. But do I require the same record for another form? It may not be, right? So I will have to have a control on what are the list of data, what I'm going to pass, and what is going to be the data, what I'll be getting it back from the application or back from the form. So let's take this example. Okay, I have done something over here. Feel free to ignore it. Let's say I'm having the state, I'm just setting the values, perfect, looking good. Now let's say I have this handle change. Of course, I can do it with the set values because that's what the purpose, what it does. But let's imagine I want to make it to be generic, right? So without doing it, I can still do with just setting the set value. That should not be any problem. But let's say I want to move this out of this function. So that is why I have this handle change to make it not tightly coupled, right? So I have an input called this text and then values.name, and then on change I'm going to have a handle change. Perfect. Now I'm having a number, and then I'm just putting out all of this. This is really cool. Okay. I hope it is visible. If not, I will just zoom a bit. So I'm using a use state, setting a values, having a function to update the values. This is a experimental or just for the reference. If you are going to do this, probably you will land up in getting errors because I'm not using a and the state value changes, it is going to re-render. So be careful about it. And then okay, great. Now let's say I have this handle change. Now what I'm planning to do, hey, there are a lot of things over here. I'll just explain this. So let's say I want this handle change, which should be a function that should accept two parameters. The first one should be the key. What key? Let's say I have this use state that is having two values called name and age. In this case, name is going to be a user's name and the age is going to be it's of type number, right? I will have to get what is the key so that I can set the value within this function to the specific key of what I'm getting, right? So that's why I have this k extends key of. So I think you would have heard about this key of operator. What it will do is, let's say for the given type, it will just get the list of keys. Okay. So in this case, can it directly get it? No, because the values is not a type. It's a value. So what I'm doing is I'm first getting the type of values. So let's say if I see what is this is the type I'm just defining. What is it going to have? It says it's type of values. So what is this value is going to have? Name and age. So if I hover over it, it can see that, hey, I have inferred your type. Your type is going to be, it's of key name and then another key called age. Okay. So these are the two keys. What I have, these are the type, what I got defined without being explicitly defining. So I probably in a real time situation, what I'll be doing is I'll be writing a data. I'll be writing a type and then I'll be adding it in this use state. But let's say I just wanted to show this so that we can also see how well you can utilize TypeScript with the utility functions as well. So let's say now I'm getting this type of and then key of values, which means the k will have the list of keys. Great, right? So the k extends name or age. That's it. Which means that when I'm going to pass anything apart from this key or name, the TypeScript is going to just say me that, hey, this key does not exist. So this is one of the advantage of using this generic along with utility types to make it more powerful. So let's say what I'm doing is I want to move this, right? So if you are remembering, I just want to make sure that this form is going to just have one data, and this does not have all the form related handlings over here. So I'm just going to revert this change, and then where do we go now? Okay, now I'm going to import this form from this use form. So what I'm having within that use form, right? So I have a function, and then I'm getting initial values to be record of string comma string. So this will accept any data. So let's say I'm giving it to be name and age. It will accept both of them. Or if I'm going to give any data, it will still accept any kind of data and then any kind of values, because I'm passing the value to be any, right? So this will also work fine. Okay, this is working good. Now what is the problem, right? Now if I'm going to access something called Selva, I will not get any error, because the values is of type record string comma any, which means that it has lost its type, right? So this is the problem. How are we going to solve it? Again, we are going to get help from the same generic. So now what I'm doing is I'm defining a form, a use form, which is a hook, which is as powerful in a way that I'm defining the values is going to be of type T, and the change or the handle change function accepts two parameters, which is basically it gets two parameters called key and value. So the key is going to be the first one, which is going to have the list of ones, and the value is going to be the specific object what is present for the given key within the object. Okay, that is what it explains us. So in this case, now let's get back, right? So we have a type being defined, perfect. We have values defined. We have handle change that says, hey, this extends the key of that, and then this is going to return this is not going to return a value, perfect. Now we are good. Okay, now let's imagine this solution what we have, right? So in this case, we have this handle change where we are explicitly saying that the form data. So the form data is another type what we are defining, and then we are sending it over to the use form. What is the advantage of it? Now if I'm going to type something apart from what is there, it is going to say that Selva does not exist on the type user form data. So it will be listing, as said by Mani, it will also list me the what are the list of variables I can access, or the functions associated with this type. It can be inferred automatically. Okay. I've been talking for a while. Any questions after this? So basically, what are we solving? Are we really solving a problem? Are you getting any questions like that? If you are getting it, that's still good. Kindly put it over to me. I'll just try to answer it if at all if you are having. Is it even a problem that you are solving? It will not be explicitly understood as such, but let's say these are the fundamental steps of problem solving. It is going to make you into a different league, right? Let's say the same person can do the same job, but if you're going to do it in an efficient way, or it's the most appropriate way to do, it's going to make a difference on how you are differing from the other person. And of course, you'll also have to stick to the conventions of whatever it's being followed, but you can also share your thoughts on being vocal enough about, okay, this is something that can be solved by this. This is something that can be solved by this. So this will give you the thoughts to just think about, not in a traditional way, but just a different way of how you can solve the same problem. Okay, I hope we are good until now. Yeah, awesome. How many more minutes left? No? All done. Okay, I'll just talk about this probably advanced one. I'll just give a high level overview about it. I'll not dwell in deep about it, but just the point is that let's say you can use generics in a lot of different possible way. Let's say I want to make all the type whatever it's being sent only as read only, right? So as mentioned, I think it was on the quiz, right? So what does read only says? It will not allow you to mutate the value after it's being defined. So in this case, I'm just creating a type called read only, make read only, and then it is going to add this read only prefix, which means that it is going to convert all the keys and the values, basically the values into read only. It will not allow it to edit. So what do we have here? We have P and then P in type of T. So we have a type which is object, and P is going to be in the key of object. And then if it is, and this is the key, and then we have a value over here, which is nothing but the T of P, which will which will point to its value. Now let's take an example, which is in interface. We have an example interface called example. So where I'm having a name, age, and a value, right? Let's say I want to make this type to be a read only, which means now if I'm hovering over this, you can see all the example keys has something called read only got added. So how does that happen? I'm passing this make read only. I'm passing this generic. I'm passing this type make read only with this type called, with this interface called example, where it converts the type of this example into a read only. So what will this mean, right? Let's say I'm trying to access something called as read only dot age is equal to 2. Now it's going to say me that you cannot assign a value because it is only it's a read only object. So that is one thing. And the next one is, let's say I want to remove the read only things whatever I have added, right? So it's not always that, okay, I just thought of showing what are the different things we can do. So let's say I'm removing that read only for the same operation. So now I'm saying that mutable data, right? I'm passing this mutable. What is the value I'm passing? I'm passing this read only example, which is having types along with read only prefix. Now, if I am going to hover over this I can see that this is not going to make much difference. But let's say the same age, which was not editable, is now editable, because out of this specific out of the specific type, we will remove all the read only keys what is already present, which makes me which gives the ability for me to just make sure that it is a data that can be editable. And similarly, this is one such use case where I will have to make all the keys to be required. So let's say the same example, whatever I'm giving, I'm just giving it that, okay, for in this one, you just make sure that it is required. So what will happen if I'm going to remove that? It's going to say me that, hey, you have some data which is required. And then I'm just going to add the missing code. So what I'm passing here is just for all the values in this key, just make sure it is not a null or not an optional parameter. So I'm just removing that, and then this is again the same object of the specific key. That's it. Okay. Now I know it's going to be even more problem. Now I have to make everything to be optional, right? So what I'm trying to do is I have an object. Maybe we can maybe use partial as well. But this is another kind of demonstration where what I'm trying to do is that I want to make all the keys to be an optional one, not a required one. So that's why I'm just giving that. Okay, you just make sure that it's an optional, and then if it is extending string, just make sure it is as it is. But this is a use case what I've tried it for. Okay, let's say I have made everything to be optional, but I want to impose a restriction that if it is only a string, then make sure it is optional. So that's when I have tried something like this, where if the T of K extends to be a string, then it is K. If not, if K is key, for the type what we are getting, if the K, which is the key, is there in the object key, and then we are just extending, if it is going to be of type string, just make sure it's an optional. So that's what it is happening over here. If not, it will just make sure it's a mandatory one. So yeah, I think this is again infer. This will try to infer the type of the specific function or the entities, the data what we have, so that let's say here is the function. I'm having a name and a string, and then it is returning a string, and then I have this type defined, which is greet return type 1, which is equal to type of this greet, which means that this entire thing is going to be residing on this one. Now I am going to say that return type var, which is equal to I'm passing this type as a generic, and then the type extends this arguments, and then from the argument it is going to infer this result, and then it is going to return the value if it can infer, by which I am getting the value string, because the outcome of this is going to be of type string. Okay, yeah. You have them. Okay, great. I think it would have been nice if I got to know before 5 minutes, but anyway. Any questions so far? Yeah. Good question. So let's say I've just taken it in terms of how do we say, an explanatory purpose. Of course, you can use constant so that it will not be a nullable. I mean, it will not be editable over there. But the read only is just it is explicitly mentioned so that you will, even though the constant is doing the same thing, but it will not give you an inference. But this will give you an inference that, okay, this is a data type which cannot be, I mean, it's a read only type. So that is what the difference, what I can think of as of now.
The client, the server to the client. In that case, the read-only property would be transferred to client as well, right?
The read-only property could
when the type system is getting transferred,
right?
The read-only, let's say, those types would get transferred to the client. Let's say the constant, with constant we can't do something like that, right? Letting the client know.
Okay, I understand. Yeah. So what he is saying is, let's take an example of the one what he has discussed, right? Manoj just said where I'm having a type being defined at the backend, and then now if I'm going to define it as a constant, the backend knows that, but does the frontend knows that? It may not be. So that's what one example I think he is adding. But I don't know. I mean, that's a very good example. But even though when we are having it, I mean, the read only, as it says, it's for read only. It's going to give you the inference about what is the data that, I mean, it's a data that is not immutable. Thank you, Manoj, for that. All right. Anything else? Okay. I think that's it. Okay. I will just I'll just continue with the slides. Don't worry, I'll just make it quick. And probably. Okay, so we have talked about how we can use generics in the front end, and we also talked about how we can use generics in the back end. Then what are the advantages? So we have type safety, we have reusability, the type can be inferred, we need not repeat the same things again, we can work with utility types, we can work with constraints, it will have improved maintainability as well. So can you think about some disadvantages? Exactly. So it requires a, let's say for a person who is starting his career, putting all things is going to be little difficult for them, not just for the lifetime, but at least the point where they are trying to understand what it is. So which can, not just for fresher, anyone who is new into TypeScript you can think of. So let's say that requires a learning curve. So that is little important and meaningful when it comes to leveraging the purposes of generics and over engineering. So let's say we are adding it, we are making it generic, but the generic should not create a over engineered solution. Let's say I'm one of the use case what I've thought of is just doing a nesting, and then we will not understand, okay, there are too many nesting. Why do we do that nesting? So it will be completely making sense for the person who has created it because he has thought about all the use cases, but for other person in the team who is new and then he's trying to understand, it's going to take some time. So we will have to understand where we have to use generics and how can we make sure that that is not too many levels of nesting is over there, and that's another thing what I can think of at this point of time. So what I'm saying with the conclusion is that type safety venuma, type safety irukku. So if you want to make sure that you are reusable code irukku. I mean reusability for the types, reusability for the types irukku, and நீங்க same code எழுத வேணாம். ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி நிறைய ஆப்ஷன்ஸ் வந்து ஜென்ரிக்ஸில் இருக்குது. ஸோ அதை உங்களுக்கு எது தேவையோ அதை நீங்கள் எடுத்துக்கோங்க, அவ்வளோதான். And this is the GitHub repo. If at all, if you want to know what is the code that I have just shared over here, probably you can check it out using this QR code. And if you have any doubts on it, or if that is not working, do let me know, because that is not again something which I have tested it. So if you still have any questions about it, do let me know. We can discuss about it. All right. Anything else? I think you would have been tired by now. Yeah. Okay. Positive. Negative இருந்தாலும் பரவாயில்ல சொல்ல.
Selva, it was so good, so interesting. It would be great if you could do some YouTube videos. I mean, yeah, it was so clear, precise, very good.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Manoj. Means a lot coming from a person like you, because you have a lot of experiences in talking events in a very, in a usual way I can see you are talking events. So it means a lot to me when it comes from you. Thank you so much, Manoj. But yeah, thank you. Thanks all.
Yeah, thank you so much, Selva. I think now we have experienced both the situation, how to be there as well as here, I guess. So which would be your preference next time? To be here or here? To be on the both ends, asking questions as well as taking sessions. Great. Okay. So with this, we are winding up our sessions. As a token of gratitude, we like to facilitate our speakers with a small memento. So I request Sendil to give away the memento for Selva. Thank you, Selva. I request Mari to give away the memento for Manoj, please.
Thank you so much for this. My wife is someone who would get the extra katapai wherever she goes. She is going to be really happy of me bringing this home. Thank you.
Glad we are making your family too happy. I request Hari to give away the memento for Manikandan. Thank you so much. So as I mentioned earlier in the initial session, TypeCoders is our first community from Talentship for the TypeScript thing. So it always, we require the feedback from you. We'd be happy to hear in person. So if anyone is volunteering to give feedback, we're happy to hear. You can come here and share your experience, please.
Hello everyone. It doesn't look like a first TypeCoders session. It's well organized. You guys are very structured. I think because of the community help that you've got, it has gotten here. And the speakers were very, very, very good. I mean, the talks were very nice. Thanks, Manoj. The insight was very nice on TRPC. And thanks, everyone.
Yeah, anyone to share the experience can come here so that everyone can witness. So in addition to this, for all the shy attendees, you can scan the QR code and share your thoughts as well, because we are happy to read your all constructive input so that we could make the next session very better. And for who want to share experience here, please, everyone are welcomed.
Actually, I'm a fresher. I came here for Silva's best presentation only, and I have had Mano sir presentation and Mani sir presentation also. And I have seen every presentation have some engaging, but Silva presentation was like quite pure, quite. Because of that, I seen that he was mentioned the disadvantage also. It was like it's hard to learn and understand. So that's why I guess. Thank you for the new inputs. Thank you.
Guys, it's only been a few months since I started speaking. I was really afraid. Okay. Chennai React was the first event which happened in this venue, which is kind of starting of tech communities in Chennai. Okay, one of for JS at least. For PyChennai, it was there for really several years. Okay. It was, I mean, when I was attending this events here in this venue, it was kind of a dream for me to come in this venue to speak, which has happened today. I'm really happy for it. Okay. So most people over here were presenting their views as audience, right? I also wanted to encourage more people to come here and speak. It's not just about speaking. Sponsors, very good sponsors like Talentship. There are several benefits of talking as a speaker. For example, you would get to have lunch sponsored and goodies, big gunny bags, right? So there's a lot of perks of being a speaker. Come, give a try, guys. Would like to see everybody over here one day. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Manoj, for speaking the other side of the advantages of being a speaker. I saw someone else in the back. Yeah.
Sessions were pretty much very organized and structured, and it was all very nice. So initially, starting the session was introduced by Manikandan, who was talking about yeah, that that API stuff. So we didn't have to just use GraphQL, and he made sure that everything was pretty much easy for front-end developers. Which that was something I really liked. Subsequently, moving on with the data types and ORM stuff that has been introduced by I don't remember his name. Sorry, I have pretty much bad memory, but your session was pretty much well interactive, and I really liked that. And moving on with your talks about generics, Mr. Selvakumar, I believe. I really liked your session, and it was very, very much interactive. And to be honest, you did plug in memes and stuff that made me chuckle at times. And I believe your session and everyone did a great, great presentation. And to be precise, I'm starting my career as a speaker as well. So I will. I have signed up to be a speaker at a Postgres community. Well, I want to dwell deep into TypeScript and stuff. So I believe TypeCoders would be giving me an opportunity to sneak in as well. Thank you guys, and have a fantastic day.
Thank you.
All right. So usually I'll just talk about at the end, but I think I talked enough for the past 40 minutes, so I wouldn't like to take much of your time. But yeah, this time it's so special to me because this is the very first time where I'm speaking as a tech speaker or something. So I would again like to thank Shanti and the entire TypeCoders team, and of course Talentship and the Autonomy for making this happen. And thanks to all the persons, I think there are a lot of people who encouraged me to talk, and still persons like Kannan, or I think there are a lot of people I can take name. Nikhil is asking me a lot of times, so I think this is giving me some more confidence. I see a lot of people from the freshers or from the college. What I want you to
just let you know is that just go beyond your what you are having it as your comfort zone or something. Start learning up things, start sharing that with the community. This will give you a lot of opportunities, and you'll see a different version of yourself as well. So again, today I learned a lot of different insights about the TRPC, and I think Manikandan has really nailed it, I can say. The level of knowledge what he has, I was able to relate to, and I was thinking that okay, I think Mani has covered part of my, not part, 45% or 75% of my talk, but still the way I think he has explained them, I was really amazed. And we have a very good community and talentship, of course, where Mani is from. I think it's really good to have that kind of discussion. We never met earlier, and it was a very formal conversations what we were having. So just my key takeaway from this is, again, this is the very first stage which has given me a provision to express myself as a speaker. So I wish everybody from here to just, as Manoj just mentioned, so you just make sure that you can also become a speaker at some point of time. At some point of time, definitely. It may be 2 months or 2 years. When is it going to be? It should be under your control. It's the decision what you are taking. So think about it. Just explore this kind of communities. I see a lot of people from college. You are doing a very good job, I would say. I never know that community exists when I was doing my college second year or first year, but you are doing it right from here. That's a good start. Continue doing it, and thanks everyone for being patient. And yeah, that's it. I'll end it now. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Selva. So with this, I believe we have the feedbacks in person is going to end, but we also need the constructive criticism from you, because everything will not be perfect. So we are happy to get suggestions from you so that we can give a better session the next time. So this keeps pushing us to do better as well. Yeah, I think the feedback scanner, you all scanned, right? Okay. So go to the next. Okay. So I guess you're on your registration, you will get to know that we also have certifications for this session. So please do scan this QR. You will be redirected to our TypedCoders site, where at the bottom you could see a provision to enter your name and download your certificate. And this can be done only to the persons who have registered in Luma and have got their registration done at the registration desk. In case of any issues faced by you, you can please mail to events@talentship.io regarding your issues, so that we could resolve it at the earliest. Since it's an week off for us to tomorrow, but we try to resolve all your queries at the earliest. Like, can someone acknowledge, like, if you're able to get your own certificates? Like, whoever get this first, please acknowledge so that we could get to know it works fine. So it's quite simple. Scan the QR. You will be redirected to our TypedCoders site. Scroll to the bottom of the site. You'll be having a provision to enter your name and download your certificate. Can someone acknowledge if you can able to redirect to that site? Okay, thank you. Yeah. So with this, we are happy to wind up our TypedCoders first session. And to end this, I request Sudha to address the gathering, please.
Good evening, everyone. Hope our session today with the TypedCoders was very much insightful, and I already heard so many good feedbacks about how it was well organized. Thank you for that. So as we wrap up our TypeScript meetup today, I would like to say a great thank you to everyone, our volunteers and the audiences, heartfelt gratitude, and I feel it's a great success for us. So thank you for that, and thank you for speakers who made it very much insightful. They covered concepts from all the basics to all the advanced concepts as well. And I'm sure for the college students, it must be a little bit more advanced, but I'm sure it will give you a kickstart on what is yet to cover on your future development life cycle, I guess. Thank you again. And special appreciation to Shanti, who organized our TypedCoders front. Okay, so she organized it well, and nothing because of our volunteers, it would have been possible. So thank you for all the people. Those are all the engineers, software engineers who are all part of Talentship and our logistics team, technical support. Without their help, this would not be possible. So special appreciation to them. And I guess it should be our first meetup. So we are continue growing, learn together. So keep learning, keep coding. And if you want any concepts to be covered as part of TypedCoders in our next event, please feel to share that in the same feedback form itself. And thank you again, Devi, for being the wonderful host. And so once again, this is a vote of thanks from Talentship, because whenever we start a community and a medium to where we will outreach the developers, they will never say no to that. So we are always available for outreaching to the developers and the developer community. So we have a long way to go forward to that, and we are looking forward to that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sudha. And a big thank you from my side as well on behalf of our TypedCoders crew. And with this, I'm happy to wrap up the first TypedCoder session here. We'll just have a group photo outside, and you can continue with your networking. And thank you so much, guys. If it's possible, we could gather outside in another 5 minutes. We could take a photo, and you can continue your certifications work on networking, please. Thank you. Hello. Yeah. Another small announcement from Talentship. We could see few people are interested in joining our Talentship family. So for all of them, we have our QR placed outside. Not sure if we are having openings currently, but we'll keep you posted about the openings if we have any. So please do have the QR, and please do check whenever in need of. Thank you. Another small update, in case if you have not got your certification, you are not supposed to register. Please scroll to the site, and at the bottom of the site you will have a provision called certificate.